Okay guys, welcome to the Friday Directions video. I'm just going to finish off the week with a little bit of notes, and by a little bit I mean like 15 slides with pictures, okay? Good work this week for you guys that stuck with it. Um, I would say most people turned in every single assignment, checked in every day. That's good to see, so you kind of get your little reward here. Just a simple note day to finish off the week. Yesterday you guys read a little bit about types of governments. We're just going to kind of deep dive in on that category or that topic for today. And I'm going to stop wasting your guys' time. We'll just dive right into it here. So the types we're going to look at are all right here. Okay, some are split up into two different factions or so forth. But these are the ones we're going to look at. Okay, and I'll kind of highlight some stuff along the way, obviously stuff for the quiz and whatnot. I'm sure you guys know a little bit about all of them. So we'll just kind of glance through them here and just kind of have a relaxing day. So this map here is a good indication of, so you have all the different types here in different colors. Obviously democracy being kind of the mainstay. But it also, we have the other big one is the orange one, which is the totalitarianism or authoritative government style. So it's either you have freedom or you don't have any freedom. And there's some, government styles in between, but they're not very common like either democracy or totalitarianism. So let's look at one of the earliest examples of a government style, and it's called the monarchy. All right. So it's a system of government where power belongs to a ruling family. So basically, it's hereditary. It's by your birthright. Now, this used to be justified as a divine right, and we'll talk about divine right a lot. In our class in geography, but also in history too, because the divine right means you have the God-given right to rule. So this is how you have like kings and queens in think about like the Dark Ages, for example, right? Like Lancelot and the Knight's Tale, stuff like that. Everyone's really religious during those time periods. Like everybody, like really religious. And so what ends up happening is that if I'm the king and queen and I say I have the divine right to rule, God chose me to rule. So if you ever try to stand up to me, you're also standing up to God. And so a lot of people don't do it then because obviously they're really religious. All right, so monarchies are often ruled by a king or a queen. Sometimes you'll have like an empress or an emperor. But there's two types of monarchies. Absolute monarchy, and we'll call it like limited monarchy or limited monarchs, for example. But let's look at those two real quick. So with the absolute monarchy, it's referred to as absolutists. The ruler have total authority of the government. Citizens have very few rights and cannot question it. So this would be like a legit example of like king and queens. But there are some more modern kind of examples that are not so modern anymore, I guess. My favorite probably being Ivan the Terrible. Would probably be my best example. But basically, yeah, the ruling family controls everything and no one else has much. Now, a limited monarchy is a little bit different. All right, so the power of the monarch is limited by a constitution or a parliament, sometimes called a constitutional monarchy. So the citizens have most of the rights in this type of system. And the most famous case of this right now is in Great Britain. Right now, modern times, they have a limited monarchy, but their monarchy is so limited where we call like their king and queen their royal family. They're more like figureheads. They are the king and the queen, but they don't control much. Okay, most of the power is with the parliament and kind of their people. All right, so that's a limited monarchy, very different. But they are figureheads and obviously still well respected, and people follow the royal family, especially on like marriages and births and stuff like that. People are really big into that. The next system is called a democracy, and this one we should be very familiar with. We should know that it originated in ancient Greece, like Athens, Sparta, that time period. It's a system of government where the power comes from the people, and there's two different styles of democracy. We have a representative democracy and a direct democracy. All right. So let's look at the first piece. It's a representative democracy, and this is what we have right now. So this is America's kind of modern system. So people elect the government in order to have decisions made for them. So for example, I would vote on, let's say, like a senator to go to Washington, and he's supposed to vote on my behalf. So we vote somebody in to vote for us. All right. So that's what we have right now. And the disadvantages are that those who support a candidate that loses will not always feel represented. All right. So that's one of the drawbacks, but it's good for large areas. Okay. So America's massive, a lot of people in it. We kind of need to have a representative democracy. Otherwise, the other version would be too chaotic. So let's look at why. So in America, if we use a direct democracy, this style is where the people vote on all matters. So think about every single bill that goes in, like, think about the Minnesota congressional stuff, all the stuff that happens nationwide, that happens in like Washington, D.C. If we had a direct democracy, we would probably get, nowadays, let's say we had it, we would probably get like notifications on our phone to like vote on stuff. Like, oh, do you vote for Bill 298CDX? Do you vote yes or for it? Or yes or no? Click here to read the bill. And it would just be pages and pages of the bill. And each American would have to vote yes or no. We tally the votes, and that's how the bill would get passed. So as you can see, it's not really practical in large countries because there's just too many people. It'd take too long. It's too chaotic. So we do the representative form where we just vote somebody in to vote on all that stuff for us. Otherwise, it would just be a mess. All right? So that's the direct democracy route. The other side of that is totalitarianism. I can never say this word right. It's a system of government where the rulers have total unchecked control of the nation. Kind of similar to one of the other styles we looked at earlier. But in this one, citizens have only the rights that the ruler chooses to give them. That's the big thing. So if we look in history here, like we have Stalin with the USSR, it's where the nation or the government, kind of like communism, where they're going to control every single aspect of society. Same with Hitler in Germany, same in Cuba as well, kind of the modern example. Or not North Korea yet, we'll get there. So a dictatorship is a form of government where the nation is ruled by one ruler. It's a form of totalitarianism. The power is taken by force normally and requires military support. So normally if we're going to have a dictator, some type of military coup took place. And a coup is when you have one military person basically recruiting the army to take out the other leader in his army, and now they're in charge. It's called a coup d'etat. Was famous by Napoleon. Bonaparte was kind of the first one to do that in France. And now we just call it a military coup, and America performs military coups all over the world to make sure we kind of get to select the dictator that we want in charge. At the end, the leader's period role, normally it ends with death or some type of overthrow, and it's normally by violent means. All right? And there's a whole bunch of historical examples about that. Couple slides left, guys. An oligarchy is a system of government where a group of people rule and have power to serve their own interests. Power can be identified by royalty, wealth, family ties, education, corporate, race, or military control. Power is usually passed from generation to generation, and a lot of times in an oligarchy, it's the minority of people who are ruling or controlling a majority of people. So a good example of that would be in South Africa. We're an example of there was like 10% of South Africans are white, but yet they controlled the entire country, or did at some point. All right, and obviously this leads to some friction. When we talk about our Rwandan genocide moving forward here into next week and the week after, we're going to see kind of an oligarchy system there where the minority people are controlling the majority and they're not treating good, so we're going to have kind of a little rebellion. Totalitarianism is a system of government where the government is in complete control of the nation and controls nearly all parts of the citizen's life. Citizens have very few rights, if any at all. Legal systems is also heavy punitive, so there's no don't expect the courts to help you out at all. Found in dictatorships and oligarchies, North Korea and Cuba are present-day examples. Again, Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini in Italy during World War II are all great examples of this. There are a few that kind of sound the same and have a lot of similar points. So when I'm making the test, I'll make sure to not kind of put those answers in the same question. Otherwise, you could click one answer and it could totally be the other, but you could also be right. So there's kind of some overlap there. So I'll be very good on making sure I don't give you guys the raw end of the deal on that. A theocracy is a form of government based on religious law, typically ruled by a religious council such as the clerics. Laws are traditional based on holy books. It's most commonly seen in the Middle East, like in Iran and Saudi Arabia, where the religious rules become the rules of the entire country. Where in America, definitely not the case. So a theocracy, basically, the rules of the religion become the rules of the nation. So the big thing is, normally in a theocracy, if you break the rules, normally the rules or the punishments for breaking those rules are extremely harsh, normally ending in some type of like gruesome death, right? Next and the last one is just a republic, all right? Refers to a form of government where the citizens conduct their affairs for their own benefit rather than the benefit of a ruler. The power of the government comes from the people. If using democracy, it can evolve either to direct or indirect democracy, all right? So America, we technically have a republic, right? Because we use indirect democracy. So thus, we technically have a republic, all right? So those are the few we're going to look at. I'll bring it back to this slide here. Again, here will be like the 8 choices you'll see on the quiz. And obviously, I'll try to be a little smarter when I'm making the quiz, so I'm not putting you guys in a tough spot, especially when it comes to like the totalitarianism and the oligarchy and the dictatorship. There's pieces in all 3 that are very similar. So I'll be smart, and I'll definitely help you guys out in that regards. But that's it, guys. Make sure to copy these down in your notes, right? You get to use everything in your notebook on the quiz. So write everything down. It'll help you later, obviously. So do yourself a big-time favor and jot those down. But that's all I got, guys. We're going to go through the notes. Monday is going to be a review day, so I'll have some review stuff up there for you guys to help you out, get ready for the quiz. But obviously, if you have a lot of stuff written down in your notebook, you'll be good to go. Other than that, have a great weekend, everybody. I will talk to you guys again on Monday. See ya.